She drank her coffee black and she liked it piping hot. She wore straw hats in the spring and the summer. She raised the use of facial expression to an art form. She wore great bracelets. She had style, whether in Mary Mecco designs or painter's overalls with clogs driving her Ford F-150. She cooked with wine and butter and pepper. She could recite Old English poetry from memory. She had beautiful handwriting with which she wrote meaningful notes, probably to most of you here today. She was a storyteller. She was a high school radio DJ. She was a teacher and a public speaker. She was a daughter and a granddaughter. She was a sister and a cousin and an aunt. She was a wife and a mother and a grandmother. She was a friend. She was a confidant. She was a fragile patient needing help and love. She was a truly lovely person. Okay. She loved theatrics, and she could sew and knit, creating costumes and hats from poster board. Once she crafted a powdered wig for her third grader who portrayed the English naval explorer Captain Cook discovering Hawaii. Unfortunately for me, she made that wig out of cotton bunting and a pair of cotton women's underpants. It was really cool until a friend wanted to try on the wig. I was mortified and ruined. However, my mom pulled me aside with empathy and with love and softly said that she was sorry that I must be very embarrassed. But she told me I had to learn to laugh at such things because it was funny. Today we're gathered to reflect on and honor the life of Sylvia Stevens, and what have we learned from this gift of Sylvia Stevens. Sylvia was born in Kennedy, Texas, a small town just southeast of San Antonio, joining two families that had lived in the area for generations, the Millers and the Metz. If you go there now, you can still see the hospital, which resembles an old one-story highway motel. Her baby book indicates that after a few days, mother and daughter were delivered home to their apartment by ambulance to ensure safe passage. She grew up in San Antonio, Midland, and Calgary, Canada, but her grandmothers, aunts and uncles and cousins remained rooted in Kennedy. Mom told hours of stories about growing up there. She went to the grocery and dry goods store called the People Supply Company, owned by the Millers. She went for Saturday morning movies. She rode in her cousin's pickup truck to go dance behind Mrs. Barth's restaurant and listen to the jukebox. She frequently traveled all over town visiting relatives and friends. Some of my earliest memories as a young child were visiting Kennedy with my brother Matt and my mother, where Matt and I were treated like royalty. Everyone I met and everyone I saw smiled at me and loved on me immediately because I was Sylvia's son. When Mom was 12 years old in 1949, her father was sent by Shell Oil to travel to Calgary, Canada to oversee drilling and oil production. They drove up to Canada in a brand new fancy Buick. For several months, while a house was being built, Sylvia and her family lived in the luxurious Palliser Hotel, which was built by the Canadian Pacific Railroad. I think she must have felt like that fictional character Eloise, who grew up in the Plaza Hotel in New York. Except Eloise had unkempt hair and was allowed to run around the hotel unsupervised. And if you knew my grandmother, you knew that did not happen. All night the family ate, every night, at night the family ate dinner in the main dining room with people frequently dressed in white dinner jackets and gowns next to a dance floor with a live band orchestra. It was very elegant. What a childhood, you know. 3 years later, in 1952, Sylvia traveled as a young teen to Belgium, Berlin, Scotland, London, and France, where she and her brother attended business dinners with her parents. Just recently, while she was staying at the Staten with a lot of new friends that she found there, I heard stories, along with the caregivers at the Staten Assisted Living Center, in which she described how she was expected to behave at those dinners and converse at those dinners with business people in a dignified, educated manner. Mom loved nice clothes and she loved elegant things, but she best loved the types of relationships she developed with friends and family back in Kennedy and Midland, Texas. Sylvia graduated from Midland High School and then went to Lindenwood College for Women in Missouri. My understanding was that she went by herself on a Pullman car on the train to attend her freshman year. She told me her father wanted her to go to the prestigious women's college where she would have more freedom in class to be a leader and express herself with more independent instruction. She came home to the University of Texas her junior year after her father felt that she had the competence she needed from Lindenwood. She graduated from UT with a degree in speech. Sylvia met Tim Stevens her junior year, I believe. Maybe I got that wrong. You'd have to ask him. Her junior year in college, and they fell in love and were engaged to be wed in 1959, this summer, after Dad's first year in medical school and her senior year. Tragically, her father died just weeks, if not weeks before the wedding. And in her wedding photos that you can see back in the fellowship hall after the service here, you can experience how love and support and relationships allow us to move on and embrace life as a celebration. Mom worked as a junior high school English teacher in St. Louis and then Nashville to help support the family finances while Tim finished medical school and did his medical internship. I've heard many stories about teaching and carpooling and laughing with one of her lifelong friends, Rachel McAllister. One can only imagine my mom in her early 20s and the fun that she had in these rides with Rachel to and from work. Mom told me once that in one of the schools in which she taught, she had to do extracurricular activities, so she became president of the Bullwinkle and Rocky fan club. I love this idea. And I can totally envision my mom wearing her Bullwinkle moose antlers, reciting poetry with a straight face. Skipping ahead to 1970, Mom, Dad, Matt, and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Dad was then a cardiologist, and Mom stayed at home refurbishing an old house which they had purchased with assistance from her Kennedy relatives. Matt and I were enrolled in a public elementary school. And amazing enough, 1970, it was the first year that national desegregation enforcement actually arrived at this particular elementary school. I have vivid memories of my mom holding my hand and leading me across the crosswalk at the edge of campus through a picket line full of angry people baring teeth. They yelled, "You don't want to go to school there." And Mom tilted her chin up and replied, "Yes, it's a school day and the kids belong in school." Mom was a stay-at-home mom who knew everyone and did everything and volunteered much until maybe 1977, when she volunteered as a docent and then became employed at Laguna Gloria Art Museum in Austin, Texas, in art education. There she wore lots of hats, literally and figuratively. She never lost the love of those crazy hats. There she worked on community art outreach and education, docent training, and art installation education materials and publications. And probably a lot more, but that's what I know. At this time in my life, when I went to visit Laguna Gloria, once again I felt like royalty, or I felt welcomed like family when I was introduced to all her coworkers. People brightened when they learned that I was Sylvia's son. It was obvious to tell how much they cared for my mother. To have my mom take you through a museum or an art exhibit was a gift to be experienced and cherished. Many times I'd enter the exhibit feeling like I didn't know anything about art or this stuff, and then leave feeling I had worthwhile, meaningful insights and ideas about what the artist might be expressing or trying to accomplish. Her teaching reflected her life philosophy. Everyone matters. Everyone's insights have value and should be encouraged, acknowledged, and respected. Mom was good at what she did. An artist, Carl Andre, once had an exhibition at the museum for which Mom put together a beautiful education booklet presenting and reflecting on his work. Mom proudly told me once that a few months after the exhibition ended, Carl Andre came to my mom asking if she had extra copies of the booklet. And he told her that it helped explain his work better than anything else out there, and that he wanted to give a copy to his mother to explain his artwork. Sylvia loved Laguna Gloria and blossomed there. I think Laguna Gloria was in her DNA. She was made to do that work, and she loved the people there dearly. Truly, I believe this was one of the happiest times of her life. It would be easy to gloss over the elephant in the room of my mom's life and not talk about her brain aneurysm in 1998. It was tragic. She never would have gotten through that. See what happens when you go off script? She never would have gotten through that without St. Christopher's. It was tragic. I've often thought of the before and after, scientifically considering mathematical percentages of what her faculties were lost and what of her faculties remained. But difficult things in life happen, and trying to make sense of it or trying to apply such scientific thought is fruitless. What I can tell you about Mom after the aneurysm, I will try to condense into 2 stories. Immediately after the event, Mom was in neuro rehab and then residence for weeks with caregivers, and I was told by a very capable neuro nurse that she had made about as much improvement as she was going to make. But with help of family and friends and her church friends, sheer determination, and a great deal of luck, my mom got better and better. Focusing on solving puzzles and doing mental exercises, she eventually came home. I came to visit her about 7 months post-incident and found her in a flurry of activity at the dining table, frantically taking copious notes in small notebooks to compensate for her mental challenges. You probably knew Mom, if you knew her later, she knew her note-taking in her books. She carried them everywhere. But at this time, maps were spread all over the table, and I had learned that, well, miracles never cease. She had just re-earned her driver's license. When I asked her what she was working on so frantically and what she would do with her newfound freedom, she replied, "I have to go visit your grandmother in Waco. I've been worried about her, and I want to go visit her and do her laundry." That was my mom. Second story took place many years later. Mom had experienced several hospitalizations for numerous reasons. She survived breast cancer and a mastectomy and was facing cancer relapse, second time, and more treatment. And I went to have a heart-to-heart with her out of concern. And she recognized my worry and empathy. And she said, "Oh, Hal, I'm okay with all this. Don't you worry about me. I've gotten through that brain mess, and I'm so grateful with all that I've had. I've met a lot of new friends, and I've had a lot of fun times, and I've met all of my grandkids, and got to know them and develop relationships." And she said, "I am good." And this was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I am good. And Mom was good. She found a family at St. Christopher's Church and prospered. She loved so many here in Fort Worth. She did docent work at the Kimball and the Modern Art Museums. She was actively enrolled in classes at TCU. She loved working for the PEO organization and believed strongly in what they do. She volunteered her time and her wealth and to organizations and causes that directly help real people live their lives with fullness and with grace. This brings me to the final aspect about my mom's character that I want to celebrate. At a young age, I remember my mom making a public presentation at our elementary library, which Mom had reorganized with the librarian over months of volunteer work. I was in awe that she was interacting with so many people who listened enthusiastically to her public speaking. I remember being kind of jealous at that young age, and I didn't really want to share her. I didn't want to share her. She was my mother. I learned quickly, however, that as far as Sylvia Stevens was concerned, I had to share. Sylvia was a person to be shared. I've never met anyone in my whole life, I swear, I've never met anybody in my whole life who had more cousins, good friends, best friends, dear friends, and favorite people than my mom. My whole life, I would hear stories of my mom's closest friends. Oh, I grew up with her in 3rd and 4th grade, and this was my friend in Midland, and they were my best friends. And then through the years, I would meet these people, and I would see her interact with them. And when I thought I'd met everyone, I would meet somebody new and see her light up, hug, and laugh. During the last 3 years of her life, while living at the Staten, the number of friends and family grew rapidly. Brianna, Ashley, Donna, Essie, Funto, Anna, Quante, and Bonnie, and on and on and on and on. I'm grateful for you all, and I love you all. Of all these interactions that I witnessed through her life, all of them, they were genuine and real without facade. In these instances, once again, I felt inclusion and love. I was an active participant. As we think about Sylvia Stevens and hold her to the light and examine her for who she was, we ultimately have to celebrate a woman who lived for and nurtured relationships. I believe relationships are the greatest gift we have in this life, and of those, Sylvia was a master. I think we should all thank God for the gift of Sylvia, who ultimately reminded us what it feels like to be a true friend. I don't know what awaits for us all in the great hereafter. I can only hope that we are all connected with everyone in communion. But I can tell you with honesty that I wouldn't be surprised if a being or a power or an angel comes to greet me in the future before they withdraw for a second in recognition and go, "Hey, wait a minute, you're Sylvia's kid." Peace and love to you all.